All right, everybody, excited to bring in a guy that was a hell of a player. Now turns out he's a hell of a sports media member. You can catch him on Bally's all over the place. I mean, KJ Wright was all over the place in the backfield when they ran the ball. He's all over the place now. KJ, really appreciate you coming on, my friend.
No doubt, no doubt. Thank you, guys.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to hop right in, man. We're right, in the thick of it as we're marching, toward the end of the year in the NFL, and there's been a lot of great stories. But I've got to ask you this because we have kind of a qualm on this show that we go back and forth, and I'm in the Kirk Cousins is not mid camp. But in your opinion, is Kirk Cousins mid, or is he upper mid, or even better than that?
Played Kirk Cousins several times, love him as a player, but when I played against him and when I watch him now, he is upper mid.
Upper mid.
Upper mid. When you talk about the elite, yes, and then that can get you to the playoffs, but that's is only as far as it'll take you. And so I love what he does on the field. He has a great running game, get the ball out to Jefferson and to Hawkinson, but it's just something that's holding Kirk Cousins back to take it all the way. And so, you've been looking for that his whole career. It's going to get in the playoffs this year, but I think that's just as far as it can go for him.
Yeah, and Blaine, you said he was mid, not upper mid. The mid
wrong.
The
wrong.
There's no such thing as upper mid, really. I mean, mid by
literally
definition.
on the mid-o-meter, I said he was upper mid.
You said he was upper mid.
Literally,
we go back and run the tape.
I also said, yeah, we go back and run the tape.
I believe you.
And I also said that he can take you to the playoffs, but not what? Win anything. Said that on the show Sunday. So
there you go.
Yeah,
well, that said the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl. But you know what? When I do look at him and the weapons he has around him, I'm worried more about the defense for the Vikings than anything right now, to be honest with you. I know they were able to kind of button up in that first half. You had the block punt. You had the pick six. As a defensive guy like you are, I don't put that on the defense. I'm smart enough to know, not just look at the final score and say the defense played horrible. But it's going to be interesting to see them. They clinched the NFC North, how far that they can go. But I do want to move over to the AFC here for a second, KJ. You look at the AFC West was supposed to be this absolute juggernaut division. It hasn't really worked out. I love the Chiefs. I still think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, especially now that Von Miller's hurt. Who right now would you say, in your opinion, is the best team in the AFC, and who would you have at number 2 right now?
Well, yeah, we'll talk about the AFC West really quick. Going to the season, I picked the Raiders to be number 1 in that division. I saw all those offseason moves they made. I saw them get Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones, and they have pretty much made me look pretty silly this year. When you talk about the AFC, the number 1 team right now is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. These guys are just, first of all, they have the history. They've been in multiple Super Bowls, always in the playoffs. Anytime you have Patrick Mahomes and Airbnb calling the plays, you got a chance to put up 30-plus points a game. And so I just look at the confidence that they have. They just always find a way to simply win ball games. And so I wanted to be the Bills. I like those guys a lot. And I've seen Allen over these last few weeks make good decisions, still be explosive. But at the end of the day, you give me a head-to-head match between those two, I'm riding with Patty.
Yeah, and KJ, I talked about this, on the show previously. The Chiefs' defense, I know the Chiefs have never had a dominant defense, right? The offense has always been an offensive-laden team. I think they do better in the run game than what people give them credit for, especially with this offensive line. But I wonder if they have enough pieces on the defense to be able to withstand a playoff run, because they're going to get, if you're getting a shootout against the Texans, I know it's one game, but you're going to struggle to beat people. Frank Clark made the big play last week. Do you think that Chiefs defense is good enough to be able to withstand a playoff run, even as good as Patrick Mahomes in that offense is?
I believe that when it comes down to it, I believe the defense can be good enough to make a play to give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. I don't need you. They're not going to be dominant. They're not going to come out and put up, 14, points or below. It's not going to be the type of game. It's going to be a shootout. But if you look at the game, I believe they have enough talent, whether a linebacker in Bolton or Gay or Frank Clark gets a big sack, to somebody give the ball back to Patrick. And that's all you need. If the ball is in his hands with the last few minutes to go, you can win the game.
Nick Bolton's the most underrated player on defense in the NFL, in my opinion.
There you go. KJ, I want to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll makes the decision in the offseason to trade away his Super Bowl winning quarterback, Russell Wilson. They named Geno Smith, who hasn't had a lot of success in the league, as their starter. They're starting another half dozen rookies. And here we sit after 14 games, and the Seattle Seahawks are in the thick of the playoff hunt, right there at 7-7 in the NFC West. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos are bringing up the rear in the AFC West that y'all were talking about. All of those draft picks, those half a dozen starters on the the Seahawks, are playing well, and Geno Smith is completing 72% of his passes when he is a 60% completion percentage, throughout his career. Was Russell Wilson part of the problem in Seattle, or is he just having a bad year and will bounce back?
I want you guys to do me a favor. After this show, go do your homework on when the Seattle Seahawks decided to move on from guys and look at how their careers turned out when they left the building. It's really eerie how much success or lack of when guys had when they left Seattle. I believe that they just found a way to just know when it's the right time to move on from a guy. But I just look at Russell when he was in Seattle. It was the perfect fit for him. He was under Coach Carroll. This man is a phenomenal coach. And a lot of people say he held Russell back. I felt like he used Russell's strengths to the best of Russell's ability. We ran the ball. We got in play action, got him outside the pocket and bombed the ball downfield. And when I look at Russell now, he is a total opposite of what he was in Seattle. I almost don't even recognize the guy. He's dropping back 40-plus times a game, taking sacks left and right. And so when you look at, was it the right time to move on from Russell? I believe that, first of all, in the locker room, in the chemistry, I feel like Coach Carroll had to get his team back. He had to, this is my team. This is the philosophy we're going to have, and we're going to do it this way. And so unfortunately to see Russell like that, he's better than that. And so hopefully he does be better next year for the Broncos.
I told these guys in the preseason, I saw a couple of the throws Geno Smith was making, and I was like, man, this is going to sound crazy, but this guy's playing well, but it's the preseason, so let's don't get carried away. Drew Lock or whoever could still end up, being the starting quarterback for the Seahawks. Now, 72% completion percentage, it's unbelievable. I want to stay in the NFC West for 1 second with one of the Seahawks' arch rivals in the San Francisco 49ers, kind of built like those old school Seattle Seahawks teams. Elite defense at every single level, not just the front seven, but every single level of that defense has an elite piece to it. You look on the outside at Deebo Samuel, who's going to be back. You look at the adding Christian McCaffrey, giving up, hedging, mortgaging the future a little bit to add that elite running back, and the quarterback position now a question mark, and has been. It has been. Trey Lance was supposed to be the starter. They don't know what to do with Jimmy G in the offseason. Then Jimmy Garoppolo's the starter again. Now we're looking at Brock Purdy starting. What do you think the ceiling is for this 49ers defense that has all the pieces and maybe a young quarterback who Jake says is just cocky enough to win in the postseason because he doesn't know the magnitude of the situation?
Listen, I saw these guys up close and personal Thursday night, and those dudes are legit. This is a team that I truly believe can go to the Super Bowl and actually win it. And you start on the defensive side of the ball. They look, I played in one of the greatest defense, probably the greatest defense in the history of the NFL. These dudes are dominant. You just start with their D-line, the way that those linebackers play. If you even get 4 yards on the run, these dudes are mad. They're pissed off. Like, how dare you even think about getting that much yardage on the play? And so when you have that intensity, that mindset on defense, you got a really good chance to win the Super Bowl. Then you go to the offensive side of the ball. When you look at Purdy, he has a mastermind calling plays for him. Hey, I just need you to run this ball, give it to McCaffrey 40-plus times, and I'm going to draw up a play, and you just throw it to the wide-open guy. Both his touchdowns versus Seahawks were just wide-open touchdowns to George Kittle. And so he has enough to get the job done. And so I got these guys for sure in the NFC Championship.
I do, KJ, real quick on the Brock Purdy thing. I know Blaine's got a couple for you. When I look at Fred Warner, talk about linebacker play, I could just watch that guy play the whole game and not watch anybody else and enjoy the game. I don't think he's underrated. He's one of my favorite guys to watch on the defensive side. But when I talked about Brock Purdy earlier, it's one thing, I use the Major League Baseball analogy all the time. You see these rookies come up in the major leagues at the major league level and have a couple really good starts, and you're thinking, oh my God, we have the next Cy Young. Well, those hitters haven't seen him a lot yet. They may know what he throws, but you haven't seen him in person. And I know that can be the same a little bit in the NFL. Now, over time, it kind of evens out. But the game doesn't look too fast for Brock Purdy to me. That's what I'm looking at. And I know Shanahan is a wizard, warlock, whatever you want to call him, when it comes to dialing up plays. I mean, he's basically AT&T. But it seems to me that Brock Purdy makes good decisions, and that the game and the complexity of what's being asked to do, whether it's to kill the play and get him in the right one, whether it's to check the protection, whether it's to know what you're looking at, it seems the game isn't too fast for him. To me, that's moxie. That's what moxie is to me.
Yep, and we talk about that it factor. You see that he has that it factor. He has that confidence. He has that cool, calm demeanor. And it kind of reminds me of Joe Burrow, when Joe Burrow came as a rookie in his second year. And so he just has, first of all, a phenomenal coach. Like, you don't have to do too much. You do not have to win the ball game by yourself. We're going to surround you by all this talent, phenomenal offensive line, phenomenal defense. All you got to do is just get the ball out. Get the ball out, make good decisions. And when it does come down for you to use your legs or to take that chance, he makes wise decisions. And that's really surprising from a quarterback that's drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah, Mr. Relevant.
Brock Purdy, the Stetson Bennett of the NFL. I really think it is. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, KJ. All right, last 2 weeks, you got to have a game-winning drive against the Texans to pull it off. And then you go and lose this game with the Jaguars. At one point, I believe you were up 17 points. Is this team good enough to go all the way, or is this going to be another Cowboys team just get to the playoffs and completely fall apart?
Call me crazy, but I believe the Cowboys can get it done. I don't know what it is, but I just look at this team. I look at the defense. I love what they have on defense with Parsons, with Diggs, and with Dan Quinn calling the plays. And I just look at Dak Prescott. Let's look at Dak for a minute. He's hearing all the noise, and he has not got it done. He has not got it done the way that I would like him to do it. But I believe that he has all the weapons around him. He has a two-headed monster with Zeke and with Pollard. He has CD. He has Schultz at tight end. This team has the total package to get it done. And I believe that they have enough weapons. Don't get Odell. If they get Odell, just call it a wrap. If they do some stupid stuff like that, mess up their chemistry that they have going, it'll be a wrap for them. But with this roster that they have right now, call me crazy, but I believe this can be the year that the Cowboys make it happen.
I really don't think you're crazy. I mean, they're loaded on both sides of the ball, especially Micah Parsons keep playing the way he's playing.
Just got Tyron Smith back.
Exactly.
T.Y. Hilton got out that wide receiver core.
You brought this up earlier, KJ. Let's talk about these Raiders, all right? I've hit this on the head, and I'm still confused about it. You signed Devontae Adams and got worse. So what is the problem right now for the Raiders? You see it's a quarterback position. Is it Josh McDaniel? Is this defense? What do you think the problem is?
The problem is they didn't bring me back. They should have brought me back last year. I know I'm old as dirt, 33 years old, but you need guys in that building that know how to win. And when I look at Mark Davis, the decision that he made in hiring the head coach and letting Rich Bisaccia leave, first, I know we're kind of over spilled milk, but you cannot do that. But then I look at them, you bring in Devontae Adams, you bring in Chandler Jones, you make all these free agent moves, and I just feel like they got worse. And I know Derek Carr's personality, he wants to make everyone happy. He wants to get the ball to Adams, to Renfro, to Jacobs, to Waller. You cannot do that. I believe that it's a bad thing to have too many weapons on offense. When they just had Adams and Josh Jacobs, they were absolutely rolling. And so they got a lot of decisions to make this offseason and who they want to, keep. Josh Jacobs is a free agent. Do you let that man walk out of the building? Do you do that? I don't believe so. So a lot of tough decisions need to get made, but it definitely starts with the head coach.
Well, you know what Nick Saban said, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream.
That's exactly right. Why does Josh Jacobs just seem like he's going to play for the Patriots eventually?
You think so?
I don't know why. It just seems like a
the Patriots already got a Bama running back.
Well, that's true. That's true. It's kind of like the Commanders. They basically decided just to take Bama players, which is not dumb. Not dumb at all. The Jags are taking Bama and Georgia players, so we'll find out. KJ2 with the Cowboys. Vander Esch, that neck flaring back up again, something that hit him in 2019. I think he's had one of his best years when you look at what he's meant to that defense and kind of taking some pressure off Parsons in the middle to kind of let him do his thing. I do want to ask you, though, man, I know you didn't play for Coach Leach at Mississippi State, but I know how well connected you are with the university. Just your thoughts on Coach Leach and what he meant to Mississippi State and what he meant to the game of football.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. I never had the chance to meet him, but just talking to the fellas that were there, he was definitely someone that was truly loved. And when he came to Mississippi State, he definitely changed the dynamic of how we move forward. There's a lot of questions about our toughness and our grit as a program. As soon as he got there, he definitely changed our mindset and the way that we moved as a team. And so definitely a trendsetter when you talk about the game, just changed the dynamic of football, the air raid and 20-plus bowl games and all the coaches that came from under his staff. And so a man that was a loved husband, had children. So heartbreaking to see that. And, my prayers definitely go to his family.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough situation there. But KJ, man, really appreciate you joining us. Tell everybody where they can find your great work, man. You have transitioned into the media game very well, even though I think you can still play.
I can still play, but I'm done. Every Wednesday, 7:10 Seattle, I'm with Brock Hewitt and Mike Salk, and I'm on Bally Sports every Tuesday. And so, definitely loving it and go take it to the next level next year.
Definitely, man. Well, excited to watch you keep rising. We appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll have you on again.
No doubt. Thank you, fellas.
Appreciate it.